Oh, Optimax. Aren't you just the best motor I've ever owned?
As you guys know, the Mercury 200 has a track record of weird random problems. In the last video, it was revving like this. So I went to you guys and asked for help. And after figuring it out, let me tell you, you guys are not gonna guess what happened this time.
Now, before we get to fixing the boat, I want to show you guys this cool new battery by Goldemate. In this boat alone, I run 4 batteries. One for my starter, one for all my dashboard electronics, one for all my Garmin graphs, and another for my trolling motor. When it comes to getting batteries, I've been switching over to lithium, Life PO4 on everything except for my starter battery. These batteries are a game changer if you've never owned one, especially this Orion 1000. Not only is the Orion 1000 a 100 amp hour 12 volt battery, but it's light and compact. This might be one of the smallest 12 volt batteries I've ever had. Saving weight, having more power is a huge plus. And the best part is, if you guys need to know how much battery life is left, you simply flip it over and it has an LCD screen displayed right on top of the battery. And if that just wasn't good enough, you can pull out your phone and connect directly to an app that'll give you guys all the real-time stats of this battery if it's put away in a compartment somewhere that you can't see that LCD screen. Another really cool feature of this battery is that there's no more getting a bunch of wires, connecting your batteries to create 24 or 36 volts. They have their own smart system where you can actually get cords to link these batteries up together. So for me, I keep all the hookup to my electronics in this front compartment, so it's important that I have a battery with enough power to run everything, but that also fits in my front compartment. It's as simple as hooking up any battery. I'm gonna go ahead, connect it to the terminal, and we're gonna go place it down in my front compartment where it literally fits perfectly snug. Look at that. I can open this locker right here, and I can see my LCD screen right on top. Lightweight, it's gonna stay put in there, and it's gonna give me a ton of power to run my Garmin's, my speakers, all that good stuff in my boat. So huge shout out to Goldemate. The Orion 1000 is an awesome battery. If you guys want to check it out, there's going to be a link in my description below. You can even use this code right here to save 10% off a battery for yourself. If you guys haven't switched over to Life PO4 lithium batteries, I definitely would consider it. It's been a game changer. They're lighter, they last longer. It's companies like Goldemate that support me here on the channel that allow me to bring videos to you guys. So back to the boat. What's cracking? I want to give you guys an update on the Optimax. As you guys know, I've been having some weird issues. A lot of you guys left me a handful of comments, so I want to thank you guys for that. So here's what we figured out over the past week working on the Optimax 200. Gotta get that cowling off. A lot of the comments mentioned stators, some people mentioned fuel pumps, some people mentioned coils, and although those were a lot of great guesses, we might have actually figured out what the issue is. And it's actually funny because typically I don't condone just running your boat when it's having an issue, but had I not ran the boat for the tournament that I had, I wouldn't have figured out the problem. So let me show you guys how I diagnosed what was wrong here. In my dashboard, I have this panel, and right here, I have a display that shows how many volts my panel has, but also the voltage display shows up on the Garmin. So last weekend, I had a tournament called an Ironman, and it was where we fished from 5 a.m. until 8 p.m. So a full day of fishing, and in that tournament, my boat completely pooped out. Prior to that, we were having that issue with the rev limiting in the motor. It would go like, and it really wasn't making sense because it was only happening after running for a long time. That's why I was very confused with what the actual problem was, because if it was a fuel pump or something related to that, it probably would have happened sooner, but it is possible that after getting to a certain speed, maybe the fuel pump wasn't keeping up with how much fuel the motor needed. So although that was a good guess, the second guess was the coils. Prior to going out on the water that day, we took a multimeter, checked every single coil, and could not find a problem. I even ordered coils to bring with me in the event that one of these were to burn out. And then on top of all that, stators, if I had a bad stator, my engine wouldn't be turning over first key turn. Anyway, I was fishing this tournament and I was running the boat, and by noon, I started noticing that on the Garmin and in my dashboard, I was no longer running at 13 or 12.9 volts. And then soon, by about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it dropped all the way to 10.9 and my motor completely cut out while I'm playing. So I came to the conclusion that my battery wasn't getting any charge, and that was why my motor was essentially cutting out. Luckily, I always keep a separate deep cycle battery in the back of my boat. I tend to hook up my cameras to it to charge them. So I swapped everything to that battery and the boat ran completely fine. So I thought I had a bad alternator. So I ordered a new one, spent a day taking the alternator out, putting a new alternator in, to find out we had the same outcome. The battery died and I was stuck out on the water. After all that jibber jabber, you guys want to know what the issue is? This. So what this is this is an inline fuse that goes from the alternator to the motor that sends power down into the battery. So essentially, this is our fuse wire that allows our alternator to charge our main battery. I called a local shop to me, and I'm very lucky. They are just well-versed in bass boats, some of the coolest dudes I ever met, and they told me to check this wire over the phone. So what we did here was we took the multimeter and we shoved it in the wire, and as you guys can see, it is not reading any ohms. That tells us that that fuse is blown. So we purchased another OEM wire for $102, and I'm an idiot. When I went to install it, I totally forgot to disconnect the battery and went to put it on, arced it, and then blew the fuse again. Yeah, I know, rookie move. I had two options. Go spend another $102 for another OEM wire or build one myself. Now, I was hesitant about this because if you guys can tell, this is specifically heat shrunk and epoxied or glued into the wire. What's the reason for that? I would assume just so it can't get wet or arc on anything. So I'm gonna show you guys what I'm gonna do because I don't wanna keep spending $100 every time I make a mistake. Luckily, I was able to find essentially the OEM fuse that comes inside these wiring harnesses. It's a 100 amp fuse, and I wanted a way to put this in there so that I could change it if this ever happened again or if we encountered any issues. So here's the old OEM wire for the one that I blew the fuse on, and I bought this guy online. On Amazon, this was $27, and it's a fuse terminal. Check that out. It's essentially the same concept. You connect one wire on one end, a connecting wire on the other end, like so, and then you have yourself a beefed up inline fuse. Personally, I think this is a better way to go. The only issue we're gonna have is finding somewhere under the cowling for that to sit without bothering anything. I'm sure somehow in the comment section down below, everybody will be like, you can't do that, OEM, OEM. Hey, I'm risking it for the biscuit. I think this is a way better design, but I'm also not a professional, so as you guys can see, I have the alternator right here. The belt is off. I pulled that off because I swapped out the alternator, but while we have that off, I'm gonna go ahead and reattach this part of the cable. So this is such a random thing that I never would have guessed because you couldn't see the wire when it was on there. It just kind of went down behind all this stuff in the block. You would never guess there was a fuse there. This piece, which is your power wire, is gonna go directly to the alternator itself, but it has to go through this hole. So I'm gonna run that wire through the hole, get it out of the way. Okay, snug. So you have this cord that comes down here. I think I'm gonna run it from the alternator down the front of the ECU here, tuck that wire in. I'll probably go behind my vessel view plug, go underneath that hose. So that way it's kind of tucked away. Originally, it went down this side of the ECU and just went straight down to the bottom. So I'm essentially doing the same thing just on the other side. We're gonna connect this right here, get our bolt locked down. So here we go, finished product. This wire right here goes all the way down behind the ECU, through the vessel view. Underneath that hose, we have our fuse box in here, which connects right there. We should be able to now connect the battery and see if we get a reading when we run the motor. Okay, boys, we got all the new parts in the boat put in. I even changed out one of the fuel filters. So now we're here. We got the boat at a lake and we're gonna test it and see if we fixed the issue. Two things we're going for here. Is the battery gonna charge from the alternator, putting in that new fuse? And are we gonna get the intermittent, oh lordy, I wish I had my zoom lens on. They're tri-skiing today, boys. There's a boat, they have 3. Do they have synchronized water skiers right now? Is that a thing? There's like 4 water skiers off the back of one boat right now. It's Labor Day weekend. You're gonna have the pleasure boaters. Anyways, we're gonna see if the new fuse works, and then we're gonna see on plane if we get that intermittent throttle rise, whatever you wanna call it. So hopefully it's smooth sailing, but we're gonna get this guy in the water, do a little fishing, and test it out. So I'll show you. We have the key turned on the boat. See, we're reading 12.4 volts. I didn't fully charge it on purpose. That's because I wanted to make sure that this thing would send a charge through it. So we have enough battery to start the motor. Let's see what happens when we start the motor. Amazing. So far, so good. We're getting charge from the alternator. One thing fixed, at least so far. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna drive around on plane, try to keep it going for like 3 to 5 minutes, see if it starts cutting out like it was before. Maybe the power was all of it, maybe it wasn't. We're gonna find out right now. Yeah, 3 dudes deep and a tank of gas, so see how she goes. All right, folks, so far so good. We're running it for like 3 to 5 minutes on plane, just doing circles. And it's running good so far, but we're still getting power too. Battery's above 13, so that means the alternator's working. Who'd have thought? It's running good too.
Yeah, buddy.
I need to hook up the vessel view, double check that real quick. Beautiful. Beautiful. Throwing no codes, nothing. Idling good. We might have just fixed the problem. I have a tournament next weekend, so that'll really tell us, you know, running a full day, how everything goes, but I think we fixed our problem. The good old Stratos is back in the garage. We took the Mercury out for a rip and it ran really good. Good news is we're getting power to the battery. My fuse system that I put in there does indeed work. I haven't seen any issues with it just yet. Now, unfortunately, I haven't ran the boat for a full day or for like a very far distance. I don't have any lakes within like an hour of here that I can really run far, but I did drive around for about 3 to 5 minutes on plane and the gas or anything didn't cut out on me. So we'll see what happens. I have a tournament next weekend, which is really gonna put it to the test because I have to run very far for that tournament. So I'll do my best to record that for you guys and hopefully maybe get a win. But we're really gonna test out to see if I fixed all the issues permanently or if we're just gonna open another can of worms. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I also hope this helped some of you guys who might come across this video if you had a problem with your Optimax. Never would have guessed that there was a random inline fuse in there. I don't think a lot of you guys knew that either because not a single comment in the last video guessed that. So I just think it's fun to get on here, do this stuff. Thank you guys for all the comments that you leave about helping me diagnose this stuff. I think we're back up and running. We'll find out here on Saturday pretty soon. So thank you guys so much for watching. Leave me a comment down below and I'll see you guys in the next one.